Welcome back to Echo's Game of the Week. Last week's video got 300 views plus, so a lot of people were interested in that O'Connor-Brandeis game that didn't really turn out in the way that we had hoped. So with that being said, before we get started though, I will answer last week's trivia question. Nobody was able to guess it. The question was, name the oldest continuously played football rivalry in Texas, and the answer to that was Lufkin High School in Lufkin, Texas versus Nacogdoches High School in Nacogdoches, Texas. Schools only 18 miles apart, one of which I graduated from.
And you graduated from?
The good one, Lufkin. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the answer to last week's trivia. So now let's move on to a game a little closer to the people who will be watching this video, and let's talk Brennan versus Stevens.
Oh,
Brennan will enter with an 8-0 record, 3-0 in zone, and Stevens at 6-2 overall and 3-0 in zone. And if you want to go to that game, it is 7:30 on Friday at Gustafson Stadium. And trust me, it won't be as scary as last week's game that we picked.
So I was horrible in that pick. Wow, I was surprised.
Yeah.
Not surprised that Brandeis won,
but how much?
By the score, yeah.
All right, so who do you like in Brennan versus Stevens?
This would be a fun game to watch. Aren't they the two newest schools in Northside?
They are the two new. Yeah.
I think.
Well, no, Brandeis is between them.
Okay, that's right. You're sure that is right. Stevens and Brennan didn't Stevenson. Stevens will go to.
They took from Stevens to.
But I like this game. I like both teams where they play.
Yeah.
I mean, very explosive on offense. Brennan more to run. Stevens more to pass. It could be a fun game. But I think Brennan's probably has the edge right now. They're looking good.
What do you? If you had to predict the score?
Oh gosh.
Granted, last week you didn't work out so well.
Last week.
Well, no one saw that coming, like you said. But so, what do you think the score will be in Brennan Stevens?
Like I said, Brennan is really playing well right now. Their running game is exceptional. They don't pass much, but when they do, they're effective, and their defense just swarms people. You know, I think they proved that moving up from 4A to 6A isn't going to be a bad deal for them. They have definitely proved themselves. And I don't know right now who can stop them. Maybe next week, I don't know. I think Stevens hangs with them, but I think it's going to be maybe a breakthrough in the second half. I'll say 31-16.
31-16. Well, I like close football. I guess that comes from going to a high school where most of our games weren't very close.
I do too. I like that kind.
But I'm going to say that Brennan will win 28-21.
Wow.
And that the game will be over by 10 o'clock.
Oh yeah, that'll be a fun game to watch. I would like to see that.
We'll see which one of those predictions I'm correct on.
And another thing, this game's going to have kind of a little family ties to it. Remember
the Allens?
Yeah, DJ, the defensive end for Brennan, and his
cousin,
his Mr. Playmaker, Tyreek. That's going to be fun to watch, especially if they get to go against each other one-on-one. I would like to see that.
Too bad they couldn't do this around Thanksgiving.
Oh, I know. That'd been great. And that's going to be a fun matchup.
All right, so now we're going to move on to volleyball. The regular season is at its end, and that means it's playoff time. Yeah. We have, out of 27 6A, in first place was O'Connor, second place was Clark, and at the taping of this video, Brennan and Brandeis were fighting for third and fourth, though they both know they're in. So they will take on the teams, the top four teams from 28 6A, which would be first place East Central, second place Corpus Christi King, third place Southwest, and fourth place South San. If you're not familiar with how UIL playoffs work, first place from each district plays fourth place from the other. So O'Connor will play South San, which I think O'Connor should take that one.
I'm predicting the Northside schools make a sweep over here. All four of those teams are highly capable.
Yeah. So it'd be so O'Connor will beat South San.
Yes.
Clark would play Southwest, and so you say Clark wins that one.
Yes. I think they are. I think the matchup with whoever gets East Central will be a tight one, but I like all the Northside schools. I'm not just saying that because that's all we cover, because I've seen them all year and they're all pretty. You've seen them too. They're pretty steady teams.
Yeah, and they don't get rattled very easily.
No.
I've seen, like last week, Brennan against a tough J opponent.
Yeah.
And they got down early and they stormed back. And
O'Connor too. Clark took O'Connor to the limit last week in all three games.
Yeah.
They get behind and coach calls timeout and tells them what they need to do. They come back out calmly and battle back.
So then the other matchups would be either Brennan or Brandeis versus Corpus Christi King, and then either Brennan or Brandeis versus East Central.
That's going to be a tough match,
so
but I still think, like I said, the
North Side
school is sweet.
Now, before we go and before we get to the trivia, I'd like to take a side note. We failed to mention in last week's Game of the Week video that the private schools, 2 of them were in the volleyball playoffs, and we're going to report from, and it's in this week's issue also, but Lutheran Volleyball, they took on Shiner St. Paul Catholic Academy in the 2A TAPS playoffs, and they lost in 3 sets. So their season has ended. And then TMI went to Houston and faced Northland Christian in Spring, Texas in the 4A TAPS playoffs, and they also lost in 3 straight sets. So we apologize for missing that last week, and if you know that we've missed something, send us an email or give us a call. And another note I'd like to bring to the community before we go is Atonement football this weekend won their 5th straight game.
Wow.
They beat Corpus Christi Wings 58-26. So they're now 6-2 on the season, and they have one more home game this Saturday against Annapolis Christian Academy at 4 o'clock at Crusader Field. So if you haven't gone out to a Atonement game this year, you really ought to check it out. They're
the 6-man too.
It's
6-man football is a blast.
It's like interesting.
Yeah.
And extra points count for 2 points.
I love that.
And 2-point conversions that normally count for 2 and 11-man count for 1 point.
I think a field goal is 4 points, and everybody's eligible.
Everybody,
I love that. I mean, even your linemen are eligible for passes, and the quarterback can't run the ball unless he pitches it to somebody.
Yeah.
They pitch back to him, and it's just a fun game.
And after that, their playoffs will start with quarterfinals on November 14th. And according to the Atonement website, that will be at Crusader Field also.
Good.
So you have 2 more chances to see the Crusaders.
At least, unless they run the table.
At least, on their home field.
6-man's fun. It
is really
a blast to watch. It is.
So let's move on to this week's trivia question. We're going to keep it a little closer to San Antonio than the last 2.
Right.
Maybe people can guess this one this time.
They should be. There's got to be someone out here that should get this one, I would think.
So go ahead.
Okay, the question for this week is, how many teams from the Northside School District have won volleyball state championships? Let us know the number of teams who have won and which teams have won. And for bonus points, tell us what year they won it. And if you really want to impress us, tell us who were the coaches. Pretty good, I think. So.
Yeah. And what's going to be the reward for? Are we going to?
We'll mention their name on here.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. Well,
free tickets to Whataburger. I don't know. Let's get something.
We'll give them something. And speaking of Whataburger, I would like to report that this week we did not have a single angry caller on our Game of the Week. So now if we can just get about 320 views, we will have surpassed what we did last week.
That would be nice. And if you're not doing anything, give us a look.
Yeah, give us a shout. Send us an email. Come by the office. We're always here until 5 o'clock. If you come by at 5 o'clock, you'll find a darkened room with nobody in it.
Usually we're covering games. CSA games.
Yeah.
Come say hi.
Come by. Come say hi. If you see us at a playoff game, come by, say hi. And we're gonna wrap it up for this week. Next week we'll have the zone playoffs.
That's gonna be fun.
And potential second round games for volleyball. So come back for that next week. This has been Echo's Game of the Week. Have a good one.
Have a good week.